Hi there, I'm Debra Corey. I am the co-author of Build It, a Rebel Playbook for World-Class Employee Engagement. And I'm here today with Sally Park from Krispy Kreme. Very excited about this conversation, not just because I love Krispy Kreme, but because I love the topic that we're talking about, which is communications. And Sally was very helpful and provided one of the plays that's in the book, which talks about how to be a rebel when it comes to open and honest communication. And what I really like about this play is they put their own twist on it. They made it their own unique way of communicating in a way that really spoke to their employees. So I'm really excited that we can talk a little bit more about this today. So why don't you start out, maybe just tell us a little bit about Krispy Kreme for maybe that 1% of the world that do not know who Krispy Kreme is.
For those who don't know, we make donuts, and very delicious donuts.
Very delicious.
We have about 960 employees thereabouts in Australia at the moment. So our business is really diverse. We have people in support office, we have people working in retail who sell the donuts, then we have the superstars behind the scenes who are the ones who make the donuts for our customers.
So from a communications perspective, and I've been in retail before, it's really challenging. Definitely.
It is tough because we have people who might work 8 hours a week to people who work full time, and the people who are 8 hours a week might only be school students or uni students who, for them, Krispy Kreme's not a huge priority. So for us, we need to figure out a way to engage them at a level that's consistent and convenient for us as a business, but also in a way that they're going to respond to as well.
So it's the convenient aspect, and it's also with the different generations and different types of jobs. It's how do you engage them differently. So you had to be a rebel then, which is a perfect segue into the why. So why did you decide to mix it up a little bit?
For me, I wanted a way for us to be able to communicate with our people from a central platform and really centralise the communications. That a lot was already happening in the business, but we wanted to deliver it in a more consistent way and take more control over the message. So we looked for a product to be able to do that, so we could communicate clearly and easily to our people.
So that's a good move into the what then. So the what was a centralized platform.
Yes.
And why did you decide that was going to work? And I ask that only because in retail, a lot of people shy away from things like that, thinking, well, who's going to be looking at a platform when they're off making donuts, selling donuts, those types of things?
I think that was the risk for us because we aren't a business who has people who are in front of their screens all the time. So if we were in a more white collar work environment, with a more captive audience, I think it would have been easier in a way to implement the similar platform to what we've done. But we needed to come up with a solution anyway and just take a risk on doing something a bit different and moving away from where we were, which was ad hoc emails which people didn't read and uninspiring presentation.
Or posters. I used to
posters.
That was really innovative about 10 years ago,
And sometimes the posters still have a place because you do need some visual representation in store, but we wanted to be able to communicate more to people in a more interesting way.
Definitely. And that's why I think that, when it comes to being a rebel, it's different in each company because, I'm in a high-tech company. I have a platform because everybody's sitting in front of a computer. But in retail, it is rebellious to take this leap and to rely on the platform.
Yes.
So how did you go about developing it? What was the secret that you put into the platform?
We worked closely with the Reward Gateway team to come up with the initial structure. We wanted to develop an interesting looking homepage for our employees to visit and engage with, and then we also needed to come up with a communication strategy as well to get the right information from the right teams within the business to share with our people to let them know what's going on within the company.
And so the name of the platform is?
Called the KK Mixer.
How'd you come up with that? I like it, it's great.
I think it was a bit of brainstorming. I don't know who was the person who came up with the idea, but yeah, it's kind of stuck now.
And it's something that you talked about, like the homepage has to engage people and the name has to engage people also.
And we also needed to get people to understand what it was all about as well because it was completely new. So to get them to understand that they can come to it for a variety of reasons, and that was really important for me. I didn't want to just create one platform for one purpose. It needed to serve multiple purposes. So people can come there for news, they can come to nominate for our recognition program, to send thank you cards, and also if they're a shopper like me, save money on the rewards as well.
And you talked about a communication strategy, which again is really important. So what did you do in your communication strategy? What did it look like?
We came up with a set structure on dates and topics that we wanted to get from the business, so we could build some consistency and regularity around the communications. But that is actually something that we did struggle with to get from the business, is getting copy from them in a reasonable time with photos that's engaging, and it's been quite a lot of work to get that information from the people in our team, and we've needed to write a lot of the content ourselves as well. So that bit has been a bit of a struggle. We're still getting the business used to submitting information and learning how to write things in an interesting way.
But I think that's a really important lesson, because a lot of times we think people are going to engage with it at the beginning, and sometimes as much as you don't like it to be, it is a bit of a trickle effect, little by little. And then soon, it's like a Krispy Kreme donut. Pretty soon you realize you can't live without it.
Exactly.
So,
and I think that's at the point where we are now with the platform, because it's been in for about 2.5 years. So people know what it is, they know what it's about. Our nominations for our reward and recognition program has increased significantly since we've moved it online, because it's much easier to nominate, and people get instant acknowledgement of their nomination as well. The spend on the program's increased as well. What we just continually need to get better at is more regular and consistent communications from the rest of the business. So that's going to be our focus for next year.
But I think it really talks to the point about, just because you put something in, it's not going to work on its own. You have to constantly, you have a strategy at the beginning, and then you have to continually communicate and find different ways.
And find out what works for the people as well. So we've tried to split the information up into more smaller chunks. So you can go to this page for this type of information and this page for this information. But we find that doesn't really work well either, because it doesn't necessarily increase the engagement with those articles. So we've gone back to keeping it all in one place, and then people can find the information and read the information when it interests them.
But it's good that you're talking to your people, finding out what works, and then not being afraid to change.
No, I think that's what has worked well for us, is that we have evolved in the past 2.5 years and tested different things and tried different looks of the platform to make sure that we're coming up with a solution that's going to work for us in the long term, because communication as we grow as a business is only going to get more challenging the more people we have and the more sites we have. So we need to be able to scale our approach.
So as far as the results, the outcome, you've talked about people engaging with the recognition program. What have you seen as the benefits of taking the risk?
For me, it's around the power of the message and being able to talk to people in a way and get them to talk about what you want them to know. It's a bit of a trick to get their attention and to be able to communicate what you want them to know in a short, concise manner. But there's power in repetition, and that's what we're really going to be focusing on in the next 12 months or so, is thinking about what our tone of voice should actually be, how we want to communicate the message, and if at the end of the article, what are the 1 or 2 things that we want the person to walk away with, because they're not going to read 4 or 5 paragraphs of text, so it needs to be short, sharp, and to the point.
Yeah, I think those are really important tips when it comes to communications, which leads me to my last question about tips. So you've just gone through this, you've been doing it for 2.5 years. If someone is inspired and thinking, I'm going to take that leap, I'm going to do something like that, what words of wisdom can you pass on to them?
I would be really clear about what your reasons for wanting to introduce the platform are, so you can come up with some KPIs to measure whether it's going to be whether it is a success or not. And we also weren't super clear on when we launched what the product was all about. So we decided to do a staggered launch because we thought the whole thing would be a bit too much for people to understand. So we just did 3 bits. So we started with the spending, and then we introduced the reward and recognition, and then we introduced company communications. But we found that people who logged in at the beginning who weren't interested in spending just didn't log in again, and it's been a bit of a slog to get them to re-engage with the platform. So if I had my time again, I would think more about the launch and do it in one big hit and get people excited about it, so that the engagement and interest in the platform is there from the start.
That's a really interesting point, because I've had challenges with that one myself when I'm introducing 3, 4, 5 products. Do you do it at once? Do you do it in piecemeal? And I think it really depends on what you're trying to achieve. I don't know if there is one magic right answer.
No, I think it would absolutely depend on the business that you're working for and people's capacity and appetite for change as well. I know with our people, and with the short attention span now, short and to the point and minimal, but regular communication is really the way to go.
Any other tips on remote workers? Because a lot of people, again, as I said before, are really shy away about doing these types of things with remote workers. When are they engaging with the platform? When are they using the platform?
I don't have any data specifically on when people log in, but I think the nature of the platform is that it is friendly enough for you to be happy to open it on the weekend. I know that I do open it if I need to buy a voucher or something like that. So I do use it outside of work hours, and I think that's a strength of it, because if it was a intranet platform that required you to log in when you were logged into the company network, people would only engage with it during work hours. But because it's accessible 24/7, I think you're more likely, particularly with our people who are not in the office a lot, to get them, looking at on the way to the bus or on the way to work, whatever. It doesn't have to just be when they're on shift.
So make sure that you have something that is accessible for anyone at any point in time, because you are right, with different shifts. You're going to have it at all points in time.
Yeah.
Great. Well, that's been really, really helpful. I think for me, the key takeaways about the communications are really to know your audience, as you said. I love the point that you made a couple times about how you need to do things short and sweet, because attention spans are so short these days.
Absolutely.
And just keep evolving it and growing it. And I think that's what makes you a rebel, in that you're continuing to make it better and better year on and year out. So thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And for anybody else who would like to read the play, either in the book or actually listen to some more of these types of interviews and plays, we've put lots of information on the website. It's rebelplaybook.com. And last but not least, don't forget to go out and be a rebel yourself.